having somebody from Portugal, Dr. Raquel Zita. Her last name is Gomez, but since we're looking for uniqueness, let's call her Dr. Zita. Dr. Zita, welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bach. It's an honor to be here. I know you are interviewing some top world leaders, so for me, it's really an honor to be here and also representing not only dentists, oral surgeons, but also women, because it's also important to have the minorities being represented. And I feel so honored to be here. Thank you so much.
I have to correct you on that. I'm not looking for minorities. I'm looking for beauty, for uniqueness. And I think that you represent that. I read that in your bio that you are one of the few oral surgeons that are female in Portugal. Would you like to elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, because as you know, I think worldwide dentistry was a male-dominated field. And then with time, things got started to change. But in terms of mentality, is still not there in terms of equality of opportunities. But I think we are changing that. And nowadays, in the faculties, we have more women studying now dentistry than men. But 30 years ago, we didn't have any women. So even in oral surgery, that is a more dominated field, it's even more difficult to have women to being very successful and with a lot of education and very focused on that area. So I graduated already 18 years ago, and I always knew that I wanted to be a surgeon. That was something that I already knew when I was still a student. And I focused since day one to do like very specific education in oral surgery and implantology. That were the areas that I was passionate about. And I did a lot of education. I did post-graduation. I did in Sweden. Then I did specialization course full-time in Portugal because I couldn't afford to go outside because it was too expensive. So I did it in Portugal in a public university. And I did master's degree. And then I stopped a little because I had a kid and the clinics and all the stuff, the life, you know, going on. And then in 2013, I went for PhD because I was doing a lot of international lectures. I thought it was a good thing for me. And in 2017, the year I finished my PhD, it was the first time that in Portugal, they opened the official oral surgery specialty. And of course, you have to have like a very specific education to enter, but also you have to have the cases in different specialties inside the oral surgery and to defend it in a presidential meeting with 30 cases, all like a board certified. And I was, all the people, the ones that have the education or the experience tried to enter this specialty, and only 100 people in Portugal made it. So I was one of the first ones entering as a certified oral surgeon specialist, and I'm proud of it because when I applied, I knew that I had the conditions to enter, but you know, sometimes it's quite difficult to get there. But I feel proud to be one of the first ones in Portugal to get.
I'm listening to your story, and all I hear is confidence. But if I make sense of it, you're not a doctor once, you are a doctor 3 times, from a dentist to a PhD to an oral surgeon.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're still talking about being a woman. Of course you're a woman, but you're such a source of inspiration, Doc.
But to be honest, I think what defines me more is being a woman, a wife, and a mother. And then I have a definition of being a professional, an entrepreneur, a motivator, a yogi because I like yoga. I'm you know, a teacher because I teach in university and I like to teach also in private courses. But what it defines me more than being a doctor is being Raquel and the woman and the mother and the wife. And then I'm the doctor. And I think I'm a better doctor because I'm a mother and a wife, and also the other way around. I think everything is connected, but I define myself first as a woman and then as a professional. I know many people know me because I have a very specific education and I do a lot of international conferences worldwide. and I spoke in nowadays in probably more than 30 countries. But many people don't know me by myself, me, like Raquel, the person, you know. And the person is a woman, is a mother, is a friend, is a passionate person about life, about colleagues, about helping each other. And I think that is much more important than any achievement that I can reach in terms of professional goals. That's my way of thinking.
You know that our show is all about empowering each other, and I don't make any gender difference. But since your message is so strong on women, I would like to ask you, what is your message of hope that you like all women that are right now listening to us um, want to inspire from your experience in life?
And for me, it's very fulfilling when I lecture, when I teach in university, to see women talking with me and saying that for them I'm a role model, and if they feel inspired to also do their careers and their path in life, because they are seeing a person that made it, and arrange a balance that not is not so easy to balance, but arrange a balance between personal life and professional life, and made it to a level that they feel that is you know, very good. And I feel very fulfilled with that. More than my achievements, it's knowing and feeling that other women that are younger, that are starting their lives, still not married, still not having children, uh, looking at me and saying, well, she did it, so it's possible to have children, to have a life, to even have some problems in life, because life is not always good. And I had some difficulties, not only in terms of health, but also in personal life. And I made it, and I passed it through, and I got forward. And I think I even got stronger because of that, because if everything goes very right, you will not being challenged to be better. And when things go wrong, you manage to overpass them, and you get stronger. And it's very good to know that other people are looking at you as a role model, because I also have my role models. I also have people that I admire that also inspired me. So for me, the best thing, the best impact that I can have when I'm teaching is the inspiration part. Because I was inspired also to get where I am today. To be honest, the first time I was inspired, it was when I was a student. Sorry, and I saw the Team Atlanta, Maurice Salama, Eri Salama, and Dr. Garber speaking in Portugal. I was a student of the 6th year in the dental medical school, and I was so mesmerized with the presentation and the inspiration and all the teamwork that I wished in that day. I was 24, I think, at that time. I'm 42 now, so almost 20 years ago. And I said to myself, I would like one day to be good enough to be sharing the stage or talking with these idols, you know, and like front face to face and being respected by them. And that was my trigger point to do my career, to be honest. And then after, of course, I had other role models, namely of strong women that are successful. There are not too many, unfortunately. Still, I think this is changing, has to change, because we have like the penetration of dentistry by women is getting massive. So now we have more women dentists than men. So we have to change also the ones that are on stages, the ones that are in the university, the ones that are in chief positions. Everything has to change, because otherwise in 20 years we will not have leaders, we will not have teachers, we will not have speakers on main stage. But now it's still, I'm saying this because I feel this. I'm not saying because it's something that I think. No, I feel this in the flesh, as I can say, because it took me, I think, probably 2 or 3 times more effort, 2 or 3 times more time to get the same opportunities of someone that will have my CV and my experience and will be a male. This I felt, okay? And I felt a lot of sexism in the first years that I was working. I was always very focused, I was always a very good student, very stubborn, you know, when I want something, I'm very perfectionist. And it has also things that are less good, but also it um, gives you the strength to continue always, even when people are mean to me or, you know, are talking with you in a sexist way. Because I was young, I look even younger, and people most of the times in conference thought that I was the assistant or the receptionist or the wife or everything less the doctor, you know. And that was a little bit strange for me, because I was doing my path, and many times I was already very educated, as with master degree and PhDs and all the stuff, and people were treating me like I was the receptionist, or, you know. And then with time, of course, when you know how to deal with this, and you show your value, and then people start to respect you. But it takes time, because many times I was a speaker, and people were talking with me like I was the wife or the girlfriend of someone in the conference. And then sometimes I had to put that person's aware that I was a speaker, that I had the education probably more than they were expecting, and I was putting thousands of implants, and I was good on what I was doing. Otherwise, I won't be there speaking. And many times I had to answer in a less polite way, you know, because people were putting me uncomfortable, because I was young, was looking younger, and people would treat me not even being like a colleague, a dentist. And I was sometimes I was not a certified oral surgeon at that time, but I was very experienced, and I had several titles, and I had education, because I started to put implants in 2002, in the year that I left the faculty, because I knew that that was what I wanted, and it took time, you know. It took time to people to respect me, and then of course we learn with time, and then I started to show my work more without showing my face. So in social media, I started a group sharing cases, and I think my work was speaking by itself. And then people got attention, and were asking, who's that crazy person doing this crazy stuff? You know, these crazy surgeries like moving the nerve, and, you know, doing all these things that some people was thinking that was not even possible. And then they started to give me some value, and, you know, to respect me. But it took some years and a lot of effort. But it was a time that I understood that I had to show the work first, before showing, you know, the face. And because unfortunately people are thinking about someone being a professor, PhD, master degree, wherever, to be an old man, you know, with glasses, and when they see a woman that looks young, or you know, has some care about trying to look good or dress nice, I think that shouldn't be something, you know, to not, because as I think the best way to explain this to you, that I know that you write a lot of books, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. And people sometimes were judging me just because I looked young, and I was, you know, talking nice and being gentle, and dressing nice. And sometimes people were judging me like I was kind of dumb or, you know. So of course, when they started to talk with me, I know how to defend myself. I'm not afraid of answering to anyone or to anything. But yeah, it took a while because at the beginning I was not so experienced. I was a little bit shocked with some comments, you know, sexist comments, and sometimes I didn't have the strength, you know, or I was trying to be polite, and I'm very polite with people. I try always to be gentle and not being rude, but sometimes it's no way to not being like direct at least, and saying okay, I'm here because I have this education and that education and that education, and I put thousands of influence, and I have this experience, and I'm here because I'm good in what I do. That's why I'm here. So, but yeah, it took a few years um, to get where I am today. It took almost 20 years, of course, to build a career. That's of course. But in terms of international, I started about 7 or 8 years, and only about, I think, 3 years ago, things started to change because people started to recognize the value and started to look at the work and not of, you know, of the stereotype of a person that should be a PhD teacher, a master's degree, whatever. So yeah, it took a while.
Zita, I am a man, but I can tell you one thing: it's if people are disrespectful, it's insecurity that's showing up, and insecurity is not about you; it's all about them. So for
Yeah,
this, I will have to say for all my gender, I apologize for the past and in advance for some people who are insecure. But I think that we are way now beyond gender. And if I may, I will address you as a doctor, a P,
exactly, and should
but
be
not
like.
woman. Because I think that we're way beyond that at this stage.
And
It's about who you are and what you bring to the table. But I
is
do understand where you're coming from, and I have to say that it would be great if insecurity was not part of our profession, but unfortunately, it is part of a lot of circles. And our title bearers are have the tendency to mask that insecurity, and it's come out as arrogance.
yeah, yeah, I feel this, and to be honest, I'm not saying this only about gender equality, but also race or, you know, social, political things, religious things. For me, I'm not. I don't treat people differently because they are in different color, different shape, different gender, different, whatever. We are colleagues. We are talking about work. We are talking about being professional. It doesn't have to be with nothing else. I can be in Portugal, I can be in India, in China, in Pakistan, in Africa, and that will be Raquel anyway. I can be a woman or a man, my work will be the same. Of course, there are some little differences that I think are good because if everyone will be the same, it will be boring. So I think different is good. And we bring something new to the profession. We bring something different because I think, of course, women probably have a different approach in terms of emotional connection with patients. Probably we have some characteristics that are better, others that are worse. I'm not saying it's better or worse. It's different, okay? But different is good.
So that was our introduction. Now you know who Dr. Zita is.
Yeah,
But
I talk too much, but anyway.
no, it's different.
Different, okay.
I like fun. I'm having a lot of fun here. But you went through the fact that you're a role model and you had a lot of role model in your life.
Yeah.
Going through what you've been through, you have proved us resilience, balance, and also wisdom to be able to navigate through all of that. Now more than ever, our profession worldwide has been heavily affected by the COVID war. And we've all been put on pause for all those people with a lot of, and I think I'm saying all of us, with a lot of pride saying that we are doctors, our relevancy level went from 100% to about 3%. And this is everywhere on the planet. So I think that there's a lot for us right now to lick our wounds and also to reinvent ourselves to see how can we redefine ourselves going forward and to be more useful to society. So if we have to be inspired by your own journey to this profession, what advice would you give all of us, men and women?
Yeah, it was a difficult time. Here in Portugal, I know that we were one of the first ones to be effective, but we were prepared because of the disaster that happened in Italy and Spain. And we were like, first it was Italy, then Spain, and Portugal was the last country to be affected by this pandemic. And on the other way, we have the Atlantic Sea. So we were kind of isolated. So it was not so bad compared to Italy and Spain. And we were preparing ourselves. But of course, it was also very bad because all the frontiers, all the connections, we had to close by law, because we were in a position that we could not only contaminate ourselves, our family, but our patients because of aerosols, and everything was very new. So we had to close for about 2 months. We were only allowed to do really emergency, proved emergency work. So it was difficult, of course, because I'm a doctor, but I'm also an entrepreneur, and I have employees. And I have to shut down the clinic, and I have all the expenses running, and I have to pay the salaries. And in Portugal, unfortunately, the help was almost nothing because, okay, Portugal is not a very rich country. I know in other countries, the government gave a lot of support. Here, it was a little support, but almost nothing. So it was really, really difficult. And from one moment to the other, you feel that you can't control anything. And it was bad, but in a sense, I'm going to tell you something. I'm a mother of a 9-year-old, and she was not having school, presential school. So she had to start to having homeschool in the computer with classes, Zoom classes, and meeting room and classrooms and all the stuff. So she needed to be helped with an adult all the time. So I had to balance between me and the father, to be with her. And in the middle of the chaos of the pandemic, it was good to reconnect with my daughter, and to be, step by step with her and helping her, with homeschool. And it was difficult. I'm not saying it was easy, because at the beginning, I was like, oh my God, I prefer to do like, I don't know, 10 implants than doing tutorial classes for primary school. I'm not a primary school. So it was kind of a nightmare in the beginning, but it was good for connection. It was good to have time to be with her, because I was traveling so much, and some things probably I was losing a little bit because she was in school. Of course, some days she was with her father, because I'm divorced from the first marriage, by the way. That's also something that is not so easy to deal. I remarried again, and my ex-husband too, but sometimes it's difficult. I only have one child from the first marriage, and she's basically 60% of the time with me and 40 with the father. And I was doing like a big gymnastics, to only do the travels when she was with the father. Okay, so the balance was, but now, because I don't travel so much, I have more time, I have more space, more open-minded to be with her, teaching her like basic stuff, to play with her, to be with her in the garden, in the pool, in the park. Of course, we couldn't get away from home, but fortunately, I have a big home, and yeah, it was the time that I took more advantage of my home. It was in these 2 months. This is crazy, right? I have this home for 16 years or something, and I didn't have the time or the I don't know the availability to use the garden and the pool, and I didn't, because I was working so much and being stressed with so many things, and then something external came, everything stopped, and you have to reprogram everything in your life. You have to reprogram that you don't go to work every day, you don't go lecture every day, you don't travel. You have to stay with your kids 24 after 24 hours, with your new husband 24 after 24 hours, and you have to readapt. You have to reorganize your life completely. It was a change, but I'm not saying it was only good things. It wasn't, of course. And in terms of economical part, it was a struggle for 2 months, because we were not earning and paying all the bills and paying all the stuff in the office and paying all the employees, because I maintained everything open. But on the other part, we were shaken up, like, hello, this is life. So enjoy your moments, enjoy your family, enjoy the little things that probably you are enjoying, but in the middle of 100 things at the same time. And I think I don't know how to say this, but I think it was this COVID pandemic. Of course, it's a very bad thing, but it was kind of red light to humanity, and it was kind of a sign of stop to the world, to people to recenter, to rethink about life, to rethink about values, about what is important in life, to appreciate what is real family, what are real friends. Because normally when you have a bad situation, and I passed through a few, you really understand who are the people that are really by your side because they liked you, and not because you have a status or you have money or you have whatever. So I think it was a good way of understanding what were the real priorities in your life, and the real people that really loved you and really care about you. And it was challenging. Of course, it was very challenging, but I learned and took a lot of good things of this last month.
You know what amazed me when I'm hearing your words and the way you sing them? It's you've been through so much, and especially after this crisis that it is just there. It's very vivid. You, within your tone, within your words, nothing is broken. It's always hope, resilience, and I can feel the strength coming out of it. You went from not being in control to reconnect. Everything about your speech is going through balance, and you said it in lately. It's to recenter. I'm sure we can spend hours debating and also learning from your wisdom. But if there's a hope you bring forward for all of us going as dentists going forward, how can you help us with your wisdom to rebalance ourselves and to find a new purpose post COVID?
Okay, even me, I had to recenter myself and readjust my focus, because I was doing about 20 international events a year. This year I had 15 that were already canceled, and I have 2 that probably will be canceled. And in that term, my recenter was to do what we are doing today. So we have to adapt to give education online, to do webinars instead of presential conferences, to create a studio at home, an improvised studio, and to try to reach people even if you are not allowed to get out of your home and out of your country because everything was closed. So in terms of education, a lot of things change, and I think they will change forever. I think part will return to normal of presential things because we also need to feel the persons, you know, and to hug and to kiss and to be, you know, as persons, not only, you know, in technical part, but a lot of the education will start to be online. I'm sure about that. And a lot of the meetings will start to be online because we had to reorganize ourselves in everything. Even the kids are having school by the computer. The teacher is talking with them at home. So in that terms, it was a massive change, completely from black to white. So this year, I did like 2 or 3 presential things in terms of education. Everything that I did after it was webinars or podcasts or interviews, everything online. So everything's virtual education. And most of the things or the rest of the year were cancelled. I only have 2 or 3 events that are still waiting to see if they will cancel or not. I hope not, because we also need to return a little bit to normality, but that will change completely. In terms of clinic, for those that work with international patients, of course, they will feel a lot in this phase because people can't travel and they are afraid to travel because they will do quarantine, or if they got ill and they close the border, they have to stay in the country. So that's a lot also of change. But also in the clinic, for me, I will say, in terms of functioning, it was not so different because I was already working with the concept of Dr. Miguel Stanley, that is the slow dentistry. I don't like to see a lot of people per day. I'm very connected with my patients, not only technically, but emotionally as a person. I like to treat them as my family or so I don't see a lot of patients per day. So for me, it was not so difficult, you know, to have the times between the consultations. And of course, we have to reprogram. The investment was big in all this equipment. We look like an astronaut, you know, and all the stuff and all the sections and this contamination of the air and blah, 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 you know, like thousands of things had to change in terms of security. And that was also an investment, and it's not so easy if you don't have any extra money, you know, to put this investment to protect yourself and your clients and your family and your collaborators. But the change of mentality in work for me was not that big because I was already working in this very personal connection and with time, you know. I was not rushing. I never in my life like saw like 15 patients a day. I can't. It's not, you know, I prefer to see less and be more time. Even I can do more treatments, you know, but because now I'm focusing more on surgery, many times I'm with 2 patients a day. 1 in the morning, you know, something because it's something that I have to be focused. I'm not being concerned of having the person in the waiting room and stressful with the time. And I can't. I can do like big surgeries and responsible treatments being pressed. For me, when I'm doing surgery, I cut with everything out. I'm in my world, you know. I put some music and I'm there. I forgot everything. So for me, the re-education or the requalification of the clinic was not so difficult to adapt to the situation of having time between the patients and cleaning, and because we were already doing not in these terms, but a little bit less, of course, but it was not such a difference. of course, it was bad in the sense that we were stopped for 2 months. And of course, I had to pay all the bills, and that I think no one can avoid. Uh, of course, there were some countries that people didn't stop, but didn't stop because of the government, but had to stop because they didn't have patients or because the patients were afraid to come. And so everyone suffered in the world. I think no country was completely out of this pandemic, even if they don't have cases. It was a global thing. Everyone was affected directly or indirectly because people were not traveling, people were at home, people were not working, people were afraid of getting out of home. Everything was new. So yeah, it was 2 months that were complicated. For me, I reinvented myself, not being presential, doing things online, doing a lot of webinars because I like a lot to teach. And it was the way I managed, to do something, and even doing some articles and some things that I was not having time to finish. And that 2 months were a way for me to recover some things that were standing by. Helping people with articles, helping students with projects, finishing articles to publish, doing webinars, doing chapters of books. So I had to reinvent myself to be occupied, with something, because I'm a person that I'm very active, and for me it's very difficult to stay at home 24 hours. Of course, I had some time that I took advantage to be with my kid, my husband, and all the stuff. But then this is very good in 1 week, 2 weeks. After 1 month, you say, "Oh my God, what I'm doing? What can I do in 24 hours?" And so I had to reprogram. Even with my patients, I started to do calls on WhatsApp, on Messenger. We had to reinvent, at least to being reachable. Many of the patients didn't have any emergency. They were only concerned and wanted to talk, and so we had to reinvent ourselves. And I even my personal number, I was giving my personal number. Normally I give my personal number after surgery, and I can say that in 20 years I had like 2 or 3 patients that call. Normally they are respectful and only call the clinic, and only if it's something that is okay. It's in the middle of the night, the clinic is not answering, and I say, okay, this is my personal number. If you have something really emergency, you can call me, and I answer the phone. But during this pandemic, I had more than that. People called because people were afraid, and were concerned, and sometimes the doctor have a role of pacifying. And so because I have a very good connection with my patients, namely the ones that I have for almost 20 years, many times they were like, okay, just to say that I have a little bit discomfort, but I'm okay, but can you advise me something, just to talk, and we have to reinvent ourselves. Instead of being dentists, being a little bit psychologists and psychiatrists too, because people were afraid, and sometimes they only want to talk, and for us to say, okay, that's not a problem if you have this, take this medication, but be sure that if you have a real emergency, I will go to the clinic. That sometimes is enough for the patient to be relaxed, that he knows, okay, the clinic is closed, but if I will have an emergency, the doctor will come to the clinic and will solve my problem. So even this, we have to, play a little bit with the psychological part of the patients to try to maintain them calm in that 2 months that we were not working. But yeah, we have to reinvent, and I think we as I told before, we have to always think about challenges or bad things or things that happened in a way that we can't predict, as a way of improving ourselves and reinvent ourselves. And for me, I think after these months that I was at home, that I have to rethink about everything, about life, about being a mother, a wife, a businesswoman, a teacher. Everything was readjust, you know. And I think now I'm a better person than before. So I think it was bad, but it was not, you know, the consequences were when you overpass the difficulty and you manage to control it. I think you become a better person, and a person that will be more multitasking, I will say, more open and more inventing things to do, inventing things to work, like, or things that you were not doing because you didn't have time. You found the time to do it, namely writing and chapters and books and articles and stuff that were like there for 1 or 2 years, and in 2 months you make it through. And a lot of webinars, a lot of interviews, things that were like stopped because I didn't have the time. I found the time, and I reinvented myself. And I think everyone should think about these difficulties, to try to become a little bit better and a little bit more multitasking and a little bit more adjust to the reality. I know that not every person have the same philosophy, the same mentality, the same personality, and some people were catched, you know, and were depressed and with all this stuff and all these problems. But I already have been depressed in my life, and I already passed through very difficult situations. But when you manage to overpass them, you become stronger. So that's my main message to all. Try to be resilient, try to be focused, try to be thinking about the future and overcoming the problems.
You know, Dr. Zita, I've had the privilege to interview a lot of people in this crisis, and not just people from the dental field, but your message came across. I'm hearing the word time and time and time again. I have a friend of mine, Clint Sarayan, who is the president of Coldwell Banker from the United States, and he's saying that eventually we'll come to miss this crisis.
Yeah,
for the once in our life, we have the luxury of time.
yeah, we have time for ourselves, and we have time for our kids, and we have time for our family, and we have had time to rethink about our priorities and our goals in life. Because sometimes our life is so demanding, so stressful, so everything was so quickly that sometimes you don't have time to think about it. You know, you do it because it's almost like a routine. You don't think about it. It's immediate. Is you know, and when you have time to stop and rethink and rethink again and rethink again, because you have time, and you have to redo your life and your schedules. Everything is different, and then you start to realize maybe this is not the best way of doing things. Maybe I have to reprogram myself to be more aware of this or more aware of that. Maybe I have to have more time for my kid, you know. And for me, it was a time to discover myself and to recenter myself and to focus myself in things that I was probably letting go. I was concerned, but was not so focused. And with this situation, I think I became a different person.
The world has changed forever, and through this, you have to adapt to reinvent yourself. This is the wisdom that Dr. Zita is giving us. But from your answer, I sense a lot of serenity, a lot of kindness. So life will not stop here. I think that we'll be moving on, hopefully better, hopefully more stronger, hopefully more resilient. And Dr. Zita, you've been a hope for women, but hopefully in the future you'll be a hope for all of us, showing us a way to overcome any challenges through your resilience, but also through the kindness of your heart. Dr.
Yeah.
Zita, if I let you end the word of the end of this interview, what would that be?
Be passionate about what you do in life, not only about your work, but what you do in life. Be focused, be resilient, and think that better days will come. Be focused on the possibilities in the future. Even when in the present it doesn't look nice, it will pass through and we get there. So I'm a very stubborn person, and I think that sometimes is good. I'm in terms of signs of astrology. I'm an Aries, you know, with Aries is meh. So I'm very, very stubborn. My personality is very focused, and when I want something, I really go for getting it. And I think this is a good quality to pursue your goals, and having always hope that something will be better. But passion, resiliences, and stubborn sometimes I think is a good thing.
This is Dr. Raquel Zita Gomez from Portugal. Dr. Gomez, thank you so much for having the time to share with us, and hopefully
It was so
hearing
quick.
more in the future.
It was running the time. I was like, okay, we are finishing. It was so nice. It was really, really nice. It was so natural, and you know, sometimes it's not, you don't even need to talk. You feel the energy of the persons, and you are a natural, you know, a person that are very well with himself. I don't know. It's like an energy, you know, and it was very, very easy to talk with you. I don't know you. It's the first time I'm talking with you, but it looked like I knew you for a lot of years. So I think it's a good thing. You make me feel very comfortable. So thank you for that. It was really quick, really fun, really special. So thank you for this opportunity. And I hope one day we can be presentially in Canada or in Portugal or somewhere else in the world, and you know, giving a hug, or at least giving a shake hands, and not only virtually, but for now it's what we have, and we have to adapt to this.
Dr. Zita, let me just finish with this because we're running out of time, but you said that it felt genuine, it felt easy. All I was a mirror. What you saw in the mirror was yourself.
Oh, thank you so much. I feel fulfilled with this.